welcome back to my channel. In today's Sweatin' Under 30, we're gonna be sweating the minds. I'm here to teach you in true Shayna fashion a little bit more than how to get a good sweat with your body and your muscles. If I wasn't being true to myself, I wouldn't just bring you workouts, but also nutrition and educational topics. So what we're gonna talk about today is cravings, why you might be craving sweets or salts, and how to fix them, because you don't just crave to crave. It's your body telling you you're missing something or there's something broken. So, where are my sweet toothers at? Yeah? You know, those people that typically tend to gravitate or want something sweet, like after meals specifically, or maybe late nights. Okay? You guys are over here. What about my salty cravers? You know, those of you that maybe tend to gravitate towards like French fries or crackers, maybe chips. Oh, me? Oh yeah, it's definitely me. I love salty foods. Don't get me wrong, I can kind of come over here too, but most of the time I sit on this side of the fence. So, I want to break it down as to why you might be craving these things, what they mean, and how we can fix them. Because they aren't here to stay forever, and it's my job to let you guys know what's going on with your bodies and how we can move our bodies and have the most high functioning metabolism of all time. Because age is just a number, and all you have to do is implement the right things most of the time, and your body will really work for you instead of against you. All right, let's first start over on this side of the fence. Let's talk about sweets. I'm gonna try and talk about sweets without actually wanting sweets. We typically tend to correlate sweets with blood sugar. So blood sugar gives our brain energy, or sugar gives our brain energy. Now, what's typically happening if we're craving sweet is we're having these spikes and crashes in blood sugar throughout the day. When you feed a kid too much candy and they get really, really hyper and excited, what comes after the excitement? We crash, right? Crash hard. The same exact thing happens in adults. When we have these lows, it's our brain telling us, hey, we're low on sugar, please feed us sugar. So we either gravitate towards a cup of coffee, something sweet, a piece of fruit would also be encompassed in the sweet. And our brain immediately feels better. We get this nice influx of sugar and we feel great. But then what happens after the great is we come crashing down. And typically what ends up happening is when we are asleep at night and our blood sugar crashes, same process happens, except for now we wake up in the middle of the night and our body's like, oh, I'm up. I guess I'll go pee. And we get up and we use the restroom. So now we're interrupting our sleep patterns because of this fluctuation in blood sugar. The idea is to stabilize blood sugar so that way we don't have these highs and these lows. What ends up happening is if we have these sweet cravings, we become insulin resistant, and we typically tend to store right here in this midsection, or in the love handle section, excuse me. Not cute, not fun. So what we want to do is teach our bodies to maintain blood sugar throughout the day so we stop storing weight back there, because ultimately you can only stay away from a sweet craving for so long before your body is like, hey, seriously, just eat it. And we end up binging and we overconsume. So instead of removing the sugar, let's remove the craving for sugar. See where I'm going? Yeah? Would you guys like that? That'd be super sweet, wouldn't it? All right, then let's move on to this side of the fence, the Shayna side of the fence. It's kind of nice, but ultimately we need to improve. Anyways, when we typically gravitate towards a saltier based food, we correlate that with stress or cortisol. Okay, so imagine cortisol is a hormone that's in the body. You may be familiar with this, you may not be, but you can just assume or pair cortisol and stress together, okay? They're essentially the same thing. Now, stress isn't always bad, so try to use that term a little loosely because exercise is technically a form of stress and it can be done poorly, but that's a whole other thing. So anyway, salt is correlated with stress. Now, when our bodies are under stress, okay, this can be from emotional stress, environmental stress, or physical stress, okay? When our bodies are overloaded on stress, so imagine that you have a cup, and a cup can only hold so many ounces of water, okay? Now, your body is the same way, okay? So my body is a cup, okay, you got that? And if I keep putting water or stress in this analogy into the cup from emotional, physical, or environmental factors, okay, and I start filling the cup and I keep filling it, and eventually does what? It overflows. So my body, when stress gets too high and I'm overflowing the cup, okay, my body is going to typically gravitate towards a saltier based carbohydrate, like your fries or your chips or your crackers, okay? Now, what this typically does is we start to tend to store it right here. It's as much as I got. But anyways, we start to store weight right here in the midsection. We store it around our organs as visceral adipose tissue as a protective mechanism, which is super ironic because visceral adipose tissue or fat around your organs is super dangerous for your organs. So in order to protect your body is storing fat in a dangerous way. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Science, the more you know. So we want to make sure that we are doing our best to manage and handle stress on the body. And again, any one of those three pillars. Now, what are we going to do about this? So we've got these cravings for sweet and we've got these cravings for salt. What am I going to do, Shayna? How do I make it stop? Okay, if I were just to give you a general recommendation and an easy place to start, first thing I'm going to say is start simple. Do not overdo it. Don't feel like you have to take on the world with your health and your fitness all on the same day at the same time. I promise you, if you start slow and you work your way up, you actually end up being way more successful over time. If you're typically someone that's gravitating towards sweets, the first place I like to start is increasing protein consumption and increasing your water intake. Regardless of your cravings, these two things is something that I recommend all the time anyways, because it's typically low for everyone. By eating a high protein diet, okay, starting with breakfast, okay, because it's the most important meal of the day, okay, that's going to, and pairing that with a little bit of healthy fats, it's gonna help give your body the nutrients that it needs to stabilize this blood sugar. So that saying, you are what you eat, is kind of true, right? So if you only eat carbs and you only eat sugar, your body's going to rely on that as fuel. And so you're gonna continue this cycle and you're never gonna keep it out of your diet. So if you focus on increasing protein consumption and pairing that with some healthy fats, I mean, I'm not saying don't ever eat carbs or sugar, but if you make those two things a high priority, in addition to drinking half your body weight in ounces of water, your metabolism is going to start working for you instead of against you. What you can also do if you want to be a little bit more gung-ho, or once you've tackled the nutrition side, is you can just move more throughout the day. So if you typically sit at a desk for work, get up from your desk a little bit more often. What you're doing is you're creating this movement of blood and nutrients, okay, as you get up and you move around. So like, look at all my nutrients moving around in my arms, you know, it's kind of great. But the more you move your muscles, the more your muscles can uptake that sugar, which essentially means you can stabilize your blood sugar. So you're not leaving it in the blood, causing you to store back here in the love handles. I kind of forgot. I was also thinking muffin top, but you know, same thing, same concept. So the more you move, the more you can utilize that blood sugar in a healthier, positive way, and you're less likely to have these spikes and crashes and storing weight in the love handle area. So, if I can recap, higher protein, fats, and move your bodies. I didn't necessarily say you need to go hit the gym 5 days a week, just move more, okay? If you're working on the side of salt, I'm gonna tell you the best thing that you can do is manage your stressors. Now I know what you're thinking, Shayna, oh, that must be so easy for you. You don't have stress, blah, 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 or whatever it is that you're gonna spit back out at the camera as you're listening to me say this. It is really not an easy thing to do, especially if you are a head case and a high stressor like me. It's something that you're gonna constantly work on, but it is something that is extremely important to your health as well as your metabolism. So whether you have emotional stress, whether that's coming from relationships or family, if you have environmental stress, like you're living in a toxic environment or a dangerous environment, I mean, like if you're living in the jungle or something, I don't know. Or actually bad traffic, there you go. Put me on the spot like that. Or physical stress. Are you exercising too much or are you not exercising at all? Do you have an injury? Things like that. All of those things process the same way as stress on the body. So some of you might have more than others, or it might look a lot different. Now, what you can do is evaluate the things or the stressors that you can change, because sometimes we can't change our jobs, or our kids are super stressful, or we just are in this situation and it's temporarily stressful, but it'll get better. What you can do is just try to control your controllables. It's never going to be perfect because life isn't perfect, but what you can do is start bringing mental awareness around what brings you stress. Maybe you start meditating, maybe you start reading, or maybe you just start doing things for you. Maybe you go on that vacation, or you take a massage, get a massage, or go for a walk, or whatever it is that you do that brings you joy. And it can be something as little as 10 to 30 minutes a day for a couple of times a week. It doesn't have to be daily. You know, don't overthink it. Just like with your sugar cravings, don't overthink it with your stressors. Because the more you overthink it, guess what you're doing? You're kind of adding more stress, because you're like, oh my God, what can I do to make things better? I'm pretty sure I just described like my entire existence in a nutshell, if I'm being completely honest. But it's something that, even though I know these things, they are challenging. So I get it. I totally understand. But I'm here to offer support and guidance as needed. Well, there you have it. I think I've covered everything that I want to cover. So if you're typically on the sweet side, watch those energy levels throughout the day. Pay attention to them. And if you're having a low, try not to feed the demon with more sugar. Up your protein, up your fats, and drink your water. Maybe go on a walk while you're doing all of those things at the exact same time, because you're super awesome and extremely impressive. Okay? And if you're sitting more on the saltier side of things, like over here, take a little bit more time for yourself. Take a step back and try not to react first. Breathe in through the nose. What do they say in yoga? Like in 3 to 5 seconds and out 3 to 5 seconds. Take a few seconds, a few minutes a day, a few minutes a week, if that's where you want to start, to bring yourself back to awareness. Figure out what those really big stressors are that you can control, and try to do your best to minimize them or modify them, okay? So I promise you guys, you can do this. If you need me, drop a comment below. If you have any questions, please always reach out. You aren't doomed to always eating sweet or always eating salt. So please make sure that you listen to your bodies. It's going to tell you what it needs. You just gotta take a minute, okay? So subscribe, Share this with your friends or family. If you know someone that is craving sweets or craving salt, go ahead and hit that little like arrow button and share this over with them, because it's an absolute important message that we need to understand and we need to learn. You can't run from these cravings. We need to fix the craving, and then we fix our metabolism. Okay, don't just run from the foods. That's not a good relationship with food. Okay, so if you've ever noticed that I'm not telling you not to ever eat these foods again, I'm telling you to address essentially the elephant in the room. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe. I love you guys all. Thank you for your continued support, and I will talk with you guys next week. See you later, alligators.